Welcome back to Important Updates, global news without the noise. Subscribe to stay updated. I'm sure you've heard the news. The world is watching Asia as tensions rise in the heart of the Pacific. In the middle of this storm sits Batanes, a remote Philippine province closer to Taiwan than Manila. For generations, its people lived quietly, fishing and farming. Now, Batanes is on the front line of a global power struggle between the United States and China. The US is transforming a key military outpost here, not just an upgrade, but a strategic signal. The Taiwan Strait, separating the Philippines from Taiwan, is one of the world's most vital sea lanes, and a potential flashpoint. Batanes is becoming a symbol of how small nations navigate the dangerous currents between superpowers. Local lives are being reshaped by distant decisions. New jobs and infrastructure come with the risk of conflict. The post-Cold War peace is over. A new era of competition has begun. China sees Taiwan as a breakaway province, threatening force to reclaim it. For the US and its allies, including the Philippines, this is a red line. The sleepy islands of Batanes are now a crucial piece on the global chessboard. The world is watching to see what happens next in this tiny strategic outpost. The fate of Batanes mirrors the shifting balance of power in Asia. The stakes are high, and the consequences could be global. The front line is no longer distant, it's right here, on these windswept islands. To understand today's events, we need to look back at the US-Philippine alliance. Forged in war and formalized in 1951, the Mutual Defense Treaty binds both nations to defend each other if attacked in the Pacific. For decades, US bases like Clark and Subic projected power across Asia. Nationalism led to their closure in the 1990s, cooling the alliance. But China's rise and its assertive claims in the South China Sea changed everything. Manila turned back to Washington for support. In 2014, the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, was signed. EDCA allows US forces to rotate through and build facilities at select Philippine bases. No permanent bases, but a flexible modern partnership. This framework is now supercharging the US presence in strategic locations, including Batanes. The alliance is being redefined for a new era of uncertainty. The Philippines is once again a pivotal partner in America's Indo-Pacific strategy. The stakes are higher than ever as both nations adapt to new threats. The US-Philippine partnership is back at the center of regional security, and Batanes is now on the front line of this renewed alliance. In military strategy, location is everything, and Batanes is at the crossroads. The islands guard the northern tip of the Philippines, just 200 kilometers from Taiwan. To the west lies the South China Sea, to the east, the Pacific. The Taiwan Strait is a choke point for global trade and military movement. If China controlled this strait, it could threaten shipping and isolate Taiwan. That's why a US presence in Batanes is a powerful deterrent. American and Philippine forces can monitor, gather intelligence, and respond quickly to any crisis. The islands act as an unsinkable aircraft carrier, complicating Beijing's military plans. For the Philippines, a stronger Batanes presence means defending its own territory and exclusive economic zone. Chinese vessels have challenged Filipino fishermen here. Now, Manila is pushing back. The upgraded outpost strengthens sovereignty and sends a clear message. This frontier will be defended. Batanes is now a critical node in the region's security architecture. The stakes for control of these waters have never been higher. The world's attention is fixed on this narrow strait and the islands that guard it. The transformation of Batanes is dramatic. The US and Philippine militaries are overhauling the outpost on Mavulis Island. A new extended runway will allow larger aircraft to land, enabling rapid deployment and better surveillance. Expanded port facilities will let bigger naval vessels dock, refuel, and resupply, extending patrols in the Taiwan Strait. The real game-changer: advanced radar, communications, and surveillance systems. These upgrades provide real-time tracking of ships and aircraft, giving early warning of any threat. Batanes is shifting from a remote outpost to a regional nerve center. The upgrades turn the island into a logistical and intelligence hub. The Philippines and the US can now monitor and respond faster than ever. This is not just about hardware, it's about changing the balance of power. The quiet island is now a linchpin in the region's security network. The stakes for Batanes have never been higher. Why now? The answer is China's growing assertiveness. Under Xi Jinping, China's military has modernized rapidly, building the world's largest navy and militarizing the South China Sea. Its pressure on Taiwan is intensifying, with frequent military drills simulating blockades and invasions. U.S. strategists warn that China could move on Taiwan within years, creating a sense of urgency in Washington. The Philippines, due to its location, is central to any U.S. response. EDCA allows the U.S. to pre-position assets at key sites. Batanes is the most strategic. Upgrading Batanes now sends a clear message. The U.S. is committed to defending the region. This is part of a broader strategy called integrated deterrence, using military, diplomatic, and economic tools with allies to raise the cost of aggression. The upgrades reassure allies and signal resolve to China. The U.S. is not just talking about commitments, it's investing in them. The window to prevent conflict is closing, and the stakes are rising. Batanes is now a symbol of this urgent new reality. The U.S. hopes to deter war by making the risks for China unmistakable, but every move raises the temperature in the region. The upgrades are both a warning and a promise. The world is watching to see if deterrence will hold. The future of the Indo-Pacific may hinge on what happens here. The Batanes upgrades are just one move in a vast Indo-Pacific chess game. The U.S. is reinforcing alliances across the First Island chain, from Japan to Borneo. For years, the Philippines was a weak link. Now, under President Marcos Jr., it's back in Washington's orbit. Each upgraded base is a new node in a network to monitor and counter China. Beijing sees this as encirclement, accusing the U.S. of a Cold War mentality. China warns Manila against entanglement, seeing U.S. forces as a direct threat. This tit-for-tat dynamic is dangerous. Every move prompts a counter-move. The U.S. upgrades a base, China holds bigger drills, China sends ships. The U.S. and Philippines patrol together. It's a classic security dilemma. Actions meant to increase security instead fuel mistrust and escalation. The risk of miscalculation is real. A single incident could spiral into conflict. The region is on edge, with every move watched closely. The chessboard is crowded and the stakes are high. Batanes is now a key square in this strategic game. The outcome could shape the future of the Indo-Pacific. The world is holding its breath. For Batanes' 18,000 residents, the spotlight brings hope and anxiety. Military upgrades mean jobs, better infrastructure, and more business for locals. Improved airports and ports benefit civilians and could boost tourism. The local government welcomes development and stronger defense. But the community knows the risks. Their home is now a target in any conflict. Some embrace the opportunities. Others fear losing their peaceful way of life. Activists worry about militarization and cultural change. The debate is real. Progress versus peril. Batanes is balancing growth with the threat of war. The island's future hangs in the balance. For the Philippine government, this is a high-wire act. The U.S. alliance brings military aid and deterrence against China's pressure in the South China Sea. EDCA sites like Batanes are central to this strategy, but China is a vital economic partner. Trade, investment, and tourism are at stake. President Marcos Jr. tries to strengthen defense ties with the U.S. while assuring China the sites aren't for offense. It's a strategy of hedging, not choosing sides. China uses both incentives and pressure, offering deals while harassing Filipino vessels. Manila is constantly pulled in both directions. The real goal: maximize national interest and sovereignty, not pick a camp. By leveraging the U.S. alliance, the Philippines hopes to build its own capacity. By keeping economic ties with China, it seeks growth. But a crisis over Taiwan could force a choice Manila wants to avoid. The balancing act is getting harder. The stakes for the Philippines have never been higher. The Batanes upgrades are more than a local story. They're reshaping the Indo-Pacific. The move signals a hardening U.S.-China rivalry and could trigger a regional arms race. Southeast Asian nations are watching, wary of being drawn into the conflict. The Philippines' alignment with the U.S. may pressure others to take sides, risking a more polarized region. For the U.S. alliance system, this is a moment of renewal and resolve, but it also raises the risk that allies could be dragged into war if deterrence fails. The path to peace is narrower and more perilous. The upgrades in Batanes reflect a deeper clash of interests and values. While meant to deter war, the buildup could spark one through miscalculation. The hope: a stronger defense will keep the peace. The fear: it will provoke conflict with devastating consequences. The quiet islands of Batanes now stand at the center of Asia's uncertain future.